and it's my profound honor to welcome our esteemed guest today, Nirav sir. Nirav is the co-founder and CEO of CertBar, where he spent over a decade helping organizations build cybersecurity programs that are measurable, defensible, and aligned with business risk. His philosophy challenges the conventional checklist-driven approach, focusing instead of security as a strategic enabler. His expertise spans red teaming, compliance frameworks, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, and full stack maturity models crafted not just for audits, but for real world. He advises CTOs, CISOs, and founders on how to stop firefighting and start building from zero trust policy design and IAM architecture to program roadmaps that justify investment and reduce exposure over time. He is advisor to Cybersecurity Committee at Southern Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So what drives him? Ensuring that the leadership walks teams walk into boardrooms or breach response calls with clarity, confidence, and a plan. He's here to help you build it maturely, meaningfully, and with long term impact. If your organization is navigating emerging threats, legacy complexity, or needs clarity at the board level, Nirav Sir is the expert you want in the room. Sir will be talking about cybersecurity in the fracture world. I can't wait anymore to hear about his expert lecture today. I welcome you, sir, on the board. Over to you, Nirav, sir.
Thank you, Shashi. Thank you for a lovely introduction. What I have recently realized that is we are, performing cybersecurity in a fractured world, and I will explain that in a bit. First, a little background about myself, which Shashi already covered, right? So I'm a technical founder who turned businessman. So I wrote almost a businessman. As a technical leader, a lot of technical jargons will comes out of me. So I said almost speaker, right? So I will try and navigate this entire talk in a business language that is easily understandable. I hope that it gives you perspective and how to take it forward from there. Okay. So we are operating our businesses in a fractured world. We have to be ready for anything and everything, with geopolitical tensions being arising, uncertainty in supply chains, and a lot of things, right? So FRACT is an acronym. So let's break it down, right? The first one is fragility. So, what do we mean by fragility? Fragility says that a ripple anywhere can cause shocks everywhere, right? So, how do we navigate ourselves into this, and what does it mean for a cybersecurity leader? So, for a cybersecurity leader, it means like we are using legacy system, third party risk, cloud security risk, we have human risk, we have a lot of things that can derail our path, right? How do we navigate across fragility? What is how do we build resilient systems that not only survives but continues even in the disruption? The business is not something like you get ahead of disruption. You basically have to navigate through it, not after it, right? How do we build for a cybersecurity leader? It comes out to be like how do we build detection systems, respond? How do we respond to a threat? How do we recover from an incident? And how do we survive throughout the attack? Means if someone is carrying out an attack on us, how do we still operate our business in a sensible way, right? Our adaptability needs to be high. Inflations might be rising. There are talent wars, AI talent war. Everyone might have heard about it, right? So what? How do we navigate and how do we adapt to the changing evolution, right? So Cyber leaders, and each and every time, every team in the company, every department in the company is asked to do more with less resources, right? And it is not a cybersecurity problem. It is a general problem for each and every department. Marketing is told that with less money, bring more, do more marketing. With less money, do more sales. So how do we drive it? So we need AI assisted response. We need threat intelligence that actually gives us a signal that here something is going wrong, and we need to take care of this thing. Here something might go wrong, which can also turn into a forecasting thing for us, that here is attack that might compromise us. This is a 0 day that is going on, and how do we combat with it, right? So the complexity of having blind spots, you cannot have blind spots in a business, right? And unfortunately, the entire supply chain has diverted into a way where we are dependent on someone, whether it might be manufacturing a product, whether it might be IT solution, whether it might be hardware requirements, or so forth, so on and so forth, right? So how do we create multi-layered for a cybersecurity leader? It means basically how do we create multi-layered security controls which actually protect our digital infrastructure, right, and doesn't slow us down. How do we build trust in an era where everything is narrated through someone's vision? How That's why the market is fractured, right? In this fractured market, how are we building trust? So, in simple language, what it means for a cyber security leader, we are secure is not the term that we want to use anymore. We want to use we are resilient towards any disruption or any chaos that is coming our way. So that is what we want to do for survival of a business leader. Sorry for that. A business leader needs to give equal attention to all types of risk instead of whenever the disruption is caused, they focus more on marketing and sales. Let's do more marketing, let's bring on more sales, let's become the market leader over here. But that budget needs to be divided into each and every department equally. Maybe your IT team needs to break down your legacy system into a microservices system, right? So this kind of things is something that we have to live with. This is something that is going to be the new reality, and how do we survive in this fractured world, right? So let's say there was the WEF global cybersecurity outlook report says that there are 47% of organization who are facing attacks that are driven via Gen AI, right? And that is their primary concern. So, have you heard of an organization that got compromised even after having the best of the class security products like firewall, Active Directory, endpoint security, DLP, WAF, even after having a suite of products to protect them, they still became a victim of ransomware attack? You can just raise your hands in the chat, whether it might have happened to you or someone you know, right? So this is the reality and reality checks that we need to continuously ask ourselves, right? Have you heard of an organization that got compromised due to a third party? Because of someone's fault, an organization got compromised. You can raise your hands once again. I'm going to ask 4 questions, so please bear with me. Okay. Have you heard of an organization that got compromised from an internal source? Uh, like what happened in COVID, right? Donald Trump's account was compromised through an internal attack. It was not a mischief, or it was not like Twitter got compromised at that moment of time. Uh, Even after having SOC 2 type to all the compliance requirement that you need in your industry, you have heard of someone getting compromised. So this is what I mean by we need to we need to ask the question: are we secure or are we resilient? Navigate through these complex waters or not? Okay. So to understand this, as I said, I am a technical founder, right? And most of you might be, or there are 7,100 languages on this planet, and we cannot communicate cyber risk to the board of directors. And it ultimately comes to this five segmented laws, right? Which are there. The first law says that if there is a vulnerability, it will be exploited. No exceptions. And nothing is going to be 100% secure. So let's forget the myth about staying secure, staying ahead of the curve, best in the class, security parameter. Let's focus on the actual core problems and how do we, make barriers against it. Everything is measurable in some way. The reason that we are not able to communicate with business, and the reason we are not able to communicate our problems with the board of directors or with the boardroom, is because we don't know how to measure our cybersecurity. Everything is in technical terms: CVSS score, uh, this matrix, that matrix, and each and everything comes and boils down to the severity of risk, and that is something that business leaders don't understand. Before I go any further, right, I have personally sent you a mail. If you can check, I have shared an image with you, and tell me what do you see in that image. I'm just going to wait for 2 minutes and then look for a response over here. Now, if you have gone and checked your mail, can you raise your hands? Perfect. So it means human trust even when they shouldn't, right? Just because someone is telling us we shouldn't do XYZ thing. So that is the third principle. uh, Without innovation, with innovation, there is always going to be some new innovation, some new feature, some new um, technology to go after. But with that comes exploitation, opportunity to exploit it, right? What we need to do is we need to create a cycle where we are continuously in this loop of uh, going towards the first principle, repeating the four steps, going towards the first principle. Okay, once again, in this talk, there are a lot of things that might be not my original ideas. They might be taken from somewhere else. So I have mentioned the sources everywhere that I can. Attackers will become more sophisticated. Why do I say this thing? Yesterday's amateur is today's AI powered attacker. So let's say in our world, for all the business leaders, I'm breaking it down for you. What is a script kiddie, right? A script kiddie is someone who has a little knowledge, access to a lot of tools, and a very little skills. They will just go Google that SQL injection or some type of attack, right? Ransomware attack. They will download a file. They will send an email to you. If you got compromised, that is good. If you don't, then move on to the next target. That is basically a script kiddie for us in our language, right? Now with AI and quantum computing, they have got their hands and they are now more knowledgeable. They have now more tools, and even now after having low skills, they can just ask AI to develop something for them, and they can have their hands on it. So let me give you an example. Uh, if you ask AI that build me a ransomware, it will not build you under ransomware. But if you ask the AI that I want to create a software that can encrypt each and every file in my system, that is an ransomware right there for you, right? So this is how script kiddies are using AI and quantum computing in their advantage. With AI, after the AI, there was a 50% surge from previous year, and previous year was recorded as 300% increment. And even on top of that, now 50% more surge is seen in cyber attacks, right? So, and to back it up, I am just giving you an outlook of World Economic Forum, uh, which says that advance of advance of adversaries' capability, phishing, malware development, deepfakes have increased a lot. Data leaks at a personal level has increased more, and in general, the complexity of security governance has raised because a lot of now you already had to follow IT compliances. Now you also have to follow AI compliances, right? So what are we doing wrong? Where are we going wrong? What is happening in that is derailing us from everything, right? So we are bringing a technical solution to a political fight. That is what is happening, right? So there is this amazing talk by Somil Shah, right? CISO's dilemma. So he asked this question: Who are you more scared of, attackers or auditors? So auditor can penalize you. They can ask for a penalty. They can derail your company's progress. You can end up in news, right? But with attackers also, you will end up with news. So what is your focus? Your focus is that we are secure. Do you want to market that we are secure, or do you want to market we are very resilient? We are security resilient. We can resist whatever comes our way. Right. So let me explain this by an game kind of a play. Do you want to play catch up or do you want to play a proactive sports? Right. So let's understand the caveats of both of them. An attacker an auditor or a regulator tells us always something that is on the curve or that has already been passed. Right. So it is a reactive posture. You're reacting to things after AI. Now the government or the regulatory bodies will come up with the rules to safeguard AI. It was not done before it. It is still not done, right? Even after 3 4 active years that the world is exposed to AI, not just the top elite companies, but everyone is exposed to AI. After 4 years we have no rules, regulations, or nothing that is concrete. So that is a game of playing catch up, right? While proactive sport tells you that how can you safeguard it, how can you be an enabler towards trust and scale, right? So let's take few examples, right? After an incident, there is a huge firefighting on it. Budget spikes every time an incident is taking place. And in proactiveness, you already have those things and you are using it in an intelligence way where you can align your business with your cybersecurity goals, right? More tools, less integration. Buy each of everything is not an option, right? You go buy a WAF, buy a IAM product, buy an dark web monitoring tool. More tools does not mean more security, right? We need to identify our crown jewels. We need to identify the processes which are very risky, medium risky, low risk, and how do we convert it into a value term that the business understands. We are driven by fear, penalties, and regulatory losses, the turmoil, the culture of toil is in catch up players, right? Where a code kind of methodology is in proactive sports. When I say code, I mean they will start doing work manually. They will find out a way that they can quantify it. How do I measure it and put it in front of the board that the risk is calculated, and then go from there, right? So, which gives us a governance by design. Let's put guardrails first. Let's understand the basic KPIs and then go from there. Everyone with me so far, please just raise your hands so I can understand. So here is the difference between a CEO, and a CISO, right? CISO thinks, Chief Information Security Officer thinks that ransomware attack is more proven to happen in my organization or is something that is going on as a trend in the world. While CEO, as you can see, the CEO thinks it is only 30%, while the CISO says it is 57% of their concern. A ransomware attack. A supply chain attack is 20%, and the CEO is saying that it is 20%. This gap is basically a CEO is a businessman who wants to trust their teammates, who want to trust their partners, who want to trust. There is a trust, right? He says that due to trust, I'm saying that I'm only 30% proven to be concerned about ransomware attack. While a CISO knows for a fact that a single human error, the ransomware can be delivered via email, via pen drive, via Active Directory, via XYZ factors. While the CEO doesn't understand that practice because he is not designed in that manner. It is no one's fault. So it is our responsibility to explain what is cyber risk to the board of directors. As a CISO, as a technical security leader, it is your derivative to explain to the end customer that this is what is happening, right? So, for example, let's take a reverse example also, right? Phishing simulation that might not be a huge attack because we have email security and things like that in place. For a CISO, it is not a concern. For CEO, it is a concern because he thinks ransomware will come from here or some misinformation will come from here. Malicious insider disinformation is something that a CEO worries about and the CISO doesn't worry about. So we need to find this common ground where each and every risk is understood by both the technical and the non-technical. Let's try and play this game of how do we bring both of these CEOs thought process and CEOs thought process to a equal level. So let's take an example of spies game, right? So it's not the number of questions that you ask, it is the right questions that you ask, right? The problem is that we are too technical to ask for budget. We are too technical to explain what is a cyber risk in business terminology. That is the key problem. So that is something that I want to try and address today, right? So for a CISO or for any technical cybersecurity leader, this is the risk matrix that OSI layer is on which our internet and our hardware, our laptops, our servers are working, right? For anyone who is non-technical over here, this explanation was for you. So physicals, there are these 7 layers that helps you visualize the data, transfer the data, and utilize this data. Now, technical people will understand that physical security is like access doors or CCTV cameras, right? And at a data link level, we need to segregate the network. At a network level, we need VPNs, we need firewalls. At transport level, we need MFA kind of products. At a session level, at a presentation level, also we need to secure something that is between session and presentation, that we need TLS SSL certificates, we need WAF, and then finally we can visualize this data on our applications. The application can be a software, a web application, a mobile application, whatever it is, right? This is the problem. This is right here is the problem, that we technical people explain our mechanism in this manner. The right manner, the right questions that you should ask someone, right? It is our job to ask the right questions, how to propose the budget, and how are we going to thrive our organization and not just survive in the turbulence time, right? So let's say CEO or a business owner or board of director, what kind of questions should we ask them? How quickly will the customer switch to the competitor if XYZ fails, right? So let's say, what if we are not live for 3 days, or what if our downtime was 1 day? How many of our customers will go to our competitors? The moment you ask this question, a CEO and a business leader will be fully awake and focused towards you. What are you trying to say? If this XYZ thing fails, it can be anything. It can be a ransomware attack, it can be a phishing stimulation, it can be a misinformation. How do you navigate different questions, and how do you cater it in front of your board? Right? So let's say if it was a CEO, CTO, or CIO, what kind of a question would you ask them? Cost of notification to regulators and customers. Once a data breach takes place, you have to do two things. You have to tell the regulator that my data was compromised. You have to notify the users that because of XYZ things, your email ID, your address, and your password was leaked in the deep dark web, so that the user or the end customer can take the corrective action. So what is the cost? There is a cost to doing that, right? We are sending 10,000 mails. It will cost us something, right? What is the cost to recovery? So let's say a ransomware attack takes place. How do we go? What is the process to recover, and what is the cost of it, right? Number of sensitive records that we are holding. So this is a technical question. This is a non-technical questions to help you calculate different things. Number of sensitive records that we hold throughout the organization. So let's say an organization using two application, right? Let's take ERP and Salesforce, right? Uh, SAP and Salesforce. So on SAP, what is there of customers' data? What is sensitive? What is the PII over there? What is some sensitive financial information that is present on our SAP? Calculate the columns versus the rows, right? You get an amount that says this is your number of sensitive record that you have on that particular application. Now you have to calculate that throughout the organization to have an understanding that if we are having 5 million records, then what will be our cost to protect that 5 million records, because we will be penalized on that particular KPI, right? That particular number will be penalized on. So if we were to ask a CFO, what kind of questions would we ask a CFO? Percentage of market share lost due to uh, reduced trust, right? So let's say a CFO has forecasted that we did a 50 million revenue last year. This year we are going to touch 80 million revenue. What is the percentage of market share that we will lose because we are in the news, because we ended up in the news? Some incident happened and we are now a part of the news channel. Would we lose any critical accounts if we end up in news, right? Enterprise customers, government contracts, things like that. That is something that we need to ask to a CFO. CEO and legal team, we need to ask what is our crisis management plan, what is the cost that we are incurring due to a PR, activity that we have to do to manage the crisis. What is the number of salary that resource is onboarded, but we are not able to is not able to perform their duties in this downtime, right? So this is the kind of question methodology that one should ask to the board of directors to get a sense of their understanding, to see what their thinking is, and how do we calculate things and make it a technical and non-technical mix. So the dilemma of rating any cybersecurity product or service is this: there are a lot of products or poor services. CISOs are now forced to buy this product. Now, here I'm talking to business leaders that you have to understand both of the methodology. It is not that only you are not able to understand; it is also they are not able to understand, right? So a communication gap needs to be resolved. CISO is forced to buy this product, right, which supports majorly Windows, right, because of the enterprise ecosystem, because their customers are over there. Uh, business, businesses needs to reduce cost, or it is about reducing the risk, or is it to please someone? The CISO has to select this product due to these two reasons. Not buying is not an option. Why not buying is not an option? Because a risk that is forgotten will be a burnout for that CISO. That CISO will be kicked out of the organization if something happens or some incident takes place in an organization, right? So the biggest risk is to forget that one asset or one vulnerability, right? And nowadays, the companies are using 20 domains and having 250 applications. Someone is trying something new and they're hosting a new application. The attack surface is increasing, and the CISO needs to be aware about each and every attack surface, right? So there is also a communication gap between a CTO, a CIO, a CISO, right? That is also something that we need to take care of. Okay. Uh, then there is this idea of portfolio for purchase. If a ransomware strikes, someone recently only one incident happened that a friend of a customer was attacked through a ransomware. Now, someone suggested them that buy Sentinel-1. The reason, the clarification is not clear. Why Sentinel-1? What was the challenge that they faced? They didn't go and find the root cause. Now they went and buy one of each and everything. But give me one IAM product, give me one WAF product, give me one firewall that is good in the market, give me XYZ thing, right? And this risk is compounding. So we are buying things. It is like that Fight Club's quote, right? Which says we are buying things with money we don't have to impress people we don't know. So we are just compounding on our security debt, and plus, whenever an incident happens, we have to pay penalties. It feels like the whole game is rigged, right or wrong, right? So we need to create ecosystem. So when say SAP, Salesforce, things like this came up, right? We built an entire ecosystem around these products, right? So if it was SAP, you were not only operating SAP, you had some application that was interacting with SAP and giving you insights. Because seeing legacy softwares are not very good in visualization. It doesn't give you that, look and feel that you need. You cannot stare at it for 5 hours. You can stare at it at 30 minutes, but more than that, it is a headache. Right? So you build an ecosystem around that. CISO similarly needs to build this ecosystem around their cybersecurity products, because their cybersecurity products will and is keeping some type of gap. If it is supporting Windows, it is not supporting Mac. And in a business environment, the business owner, the board of directors wants to use MacBook, and the rest of the team uses Windows. So how do we keep plugging this gap? IT or CIO wants to use Linux system for their software, so they don't have to pay for licenses, and they are already asked to do more with less, right? So how do we create this ecosystem? In ecosystem, what we need to do is we need to look for features and integrations. What kind of features and integrations are we getting? What are the security parameters, and how are they talking to each other? So let's take an IAM product and let's take a SOC product. Are they able to communicate with each other? Because everything at the end of the day will happen through a SOC. Uh, yes, IAM is helping control that thing, right? That no incident is taking place and it gives you alerts. But to visualize that, you need to create an ecosystem where all the players come together and protect your organization and whole, right? Aligning controls with businesses. How are you aligning your controls with businesses? Are we measuring them on their merits, or are we measuring them on their reviews? So let's say, for example, and product A might have a lot of reviews on Gartner, or might have a lot of reviews on XYZ platform, right? And but the controls are 50. Where one product has very less reviews, but the controls are more. Now it depends what budget you have and how do you want to scale up your thing that will come out of this. So we'll go in more depth in that, right? We need a support and innovation. Where are we missing someone who is monitoring our assets throughout the organization? Someone who is thinking of innovation. Where can IAM and SOC talk? Once again, this is just an example. I'm giving you an example, a layman example, so it is good for you to understand. IAM is a human error problem, while SOC is a technology problem. Right? I will explain that in a bit as well. Okay, so someone who can find that this IAM product can talk to this SOC product, and then we can have more clarity, more intelligence to take better decisions, right? So let's understand the whole process of SOC. You have all of the tools, your fancy tools over here. Those fancy tools create logs. That logs are submitted to a filterization and normalization process. They are enriched, and they're correlated, and they give you certain kind of ability to act upon the information, right? So this is a typical SOC process. Please raise your hand and ask the question. Now that it is going to get a little technical, I will try to keep it as non-technical as I can. But if you have any questions, please fire away in the chat, and maybe Nehal or Shashi can jump in and ask that question. Okay, so let's take an example. a typical request whenever you are acting with a website, if you're doing something, Google will do this kind of a request, right? Which is get. There is a method of sending a request. You can just the same way you send a gift to someone, you can send it through a courier service or you can send it through a post service, right? So this is the post request. There are two different request. Here there is headers. Here there is headers, but here there is one additional thing called body, right? So this body is also passed on to the server, then which will respond. You requested for XYZ company, and here is the result for that, right? So in a typical setting, what logs looks like is this: the gibberish of logs. No one likes to look at it. No one wants to look at it. And but we have to monitor our systems so we can identify the weaknesses and then improvise on it, right? So this is a get request. Here is the post request. Now in the previous video we saw that a get request has headers. Good. A post request also has headers. Good. But there is a body attached to that post, which is not showing anywhere else, right? Which is not in the log. So how do you take an intelligent decision based on this data? Can anyone tell me? Here we are seeing that someone has uploaded something, right? If you can see my cursor over here, someone has uploaded something. What have they uploaded? We have no idea. How can we take an intelligent decision if this is our log monitoring process, right? So what you need to have, what your ecosystem needs to do is this: if there is a post request, then we need the entire body. As you can see, username, password, everything is mentioned over here. This all is masked in a format where the end user or the security guys doesn't know each and everything about everyone. Or else what will happen is the security knows about what website you are visiting, what is your password, what is everything, right? So we need this kind of controls as well in the place. And when someone is trying, so this is a payload for any non-technical user. This is a payload that says bypass the login password. That's it, right? An SQL payload. If someone is entering the payload, then certain information is revealed, which is unmasked. If it is unmasked, we will be able to know who is the threat actor. What are they trying to do? What kind of an attack are they carrying out on us? How do we protect our business from this kind of attack? Then we can take corrective steps. Now you understand when I say we want an intelligent based decision making solution, an ecosystem that is intelligence driven, right? Once again, I hope anyone who didn't understand this technical example can raise their hand and just ask a question. I'll just wait for 20 seconds, then we can move forward. Okay, moving on, right? So let's say there are product A and there is a product B. Now it gives you control over your network, your system, your policy, your user. This is for non-technical people. I'm explaining it in a very layman language. So there is network setting, there is system settings. You can do something with policy. You can define policy or guardrails. Policy will act like your guardrails, right? You can do user management. That I want to lock out a user if they try to do three field logins, right? Or not. So these kind of features are in user management. How are they connecting with us if they are working from home, if they are working from remote locations? How are we managing our segmentation or our entire ecosystem, general settings, and when can we run a scan? Let's say there is a product A and a product B. Product A might have more reviews on Gartner, but it only has 59 controls. It doesn't give you that grip that you want to defend against the threats that you want. And I'm not saying product you shouldn't buy product A. You should buy product A in a right stage, right? Then there is product B. Product B gives you more control over your ecosystem, right? It integrates with more products. It talks to IAM, it talks to DLP, it talks to Active Directory. It is giving you 76 controls, right? So a buying journey, I'm just going to try and explain a buying journey of any cybersecurity product or service that you might be coming across. Let's say this is the security gap that you are facing. Not having anything is not an option, right? The CISO has to buy something to protect against at least a script kiddie who doesn't know anything, right? Jones know for that matter. So we are buying a product A, right? And a product A is giving you 20. Your OEM comes, your system integrator comes and implements 20 controls out of 29 that the product is offering. Now, this is a gap, right? You can put some custom efforts and reduce that gap, and you can make 20, you can utilize 25 controls versus 20 controls previously. So this is how a typical buying journey should look like. Here your security gap will become very narrow, your resilience will increase. The number of people who are trying to attack you can only try their best, right? But you are proven to be resilient from most of the attacks. That's why here, when you reach over here, this is your most secure state. With the budget that you have, your most secure state can be anywhere from 1 to 8. It is just how much number of efforts are you putting, extra efforts that you're putting to secure that. Now, for technical leaders, right, you can measure the product's maturity. uh, there are 60 controls. You are using 43 controls. You can get a ratio. You can come with a derivative ratio that this is the percentage of maturity we have. That is what you need to communicate with business owners, board of directors, right? So, how do you develop a cybersecurity program from scratch? And this is where you need to invest. We want to do small item at each stage. In strategy, talent, and GRC, let's hire a fresher and teach him something. Let's have some policy in place. And our strategy is that all the other 8 activities will do a little bit of everything. Whenever you are starting out, right? Then your maturity increases, your language increases, and your resilience increases. So this is how you develop a cybersecurity program. It can be broken down to a lot of things, but once again, that will get complicated and non-technical, which I don't want. How are we managing our third-party risk? How are we managing our network level risk? If someone came to my office and I gave him the Wi-Fi password, would he be able to reach to my backup systems? Yes or no? How do I protect from that happening? This is the kind of conversation you need to have at a strategic level for each and every program. At application security level, what can we do so an unauthorized attacker or an ill-intended user is not able to leverage our data against us, right? How are we managing people's data? How are we, giving them the rights to their privacy? What kind of an IAM product are we using? Is it helping us reliquent reliquation? Sorry, is it able to help safeguard us from attacks that are proven to be human error, right? So, for example, a company is using 20 products, right? For all the 20 products, there is a login page. Now, to remember, your IT team, your security team says that you cannot use one password everywhere. So now they will write 20 passwords. They will note it down somewhere, right? Now you're telling that every 3 months you have to change your password for each of those 20 systems and come up with a new password, and it should not match with your previous 3 passwords. This is the dilemma that we are getting into. This is not the way things are done. One password for all of those 20 products should be sufficient, right? Change it after a year should be sufficient unless it is a critical system. For critical systems, you should change it every 3 months. But that's why you need an IAM. That's why you need security awareness training for your team. That's why you need third party risk management to manage risk against your third party to supply chain owners, right? So now whenever we are reporting to the board of directors, what kind of reporting should we do? Right? We should categorize the risk by five or less than five categories. Here at Sidebar, we have divided into just five categories, right? So the first category is risk by human error. How do we eliminate risk by human error? Chatbox, chatbox, and um, yeah, that is all. I can do two checkbox and I can reduce the risk by human error. How can we control the risk by supply chain? Whenever we are high onboarding some or another agency onto our platform, right? We can give them a security list. They can vet against it that I'm doing XYZ process. I'm monitoring our logs. We are doing VEPT, all those technical jargons. Trust but verify. This is what you need to do at a supply chain level, right? You can have Dalvin box for your HR management system. That is good. It is good to have an ecosystem, right? But you don't need to trust them. You need to verify them that yes, you are actually doing what you are saying you're doing, right? Risk by compliance. Now, risk by compliance and risk by privacy, we have kept this separate for a specific reason. Risk by compliance is for the regulators. Risk by privacy is something if compromised, we have to pay penalties, right? And the journey of both of these is different. Risk by compliance is, do we have policies? Do we have procedures, SOPs? Do we have evidence collection mechanism that if XYZ is done, let's say, for example, um, if we are onboarding a firewall and we are doing a configuration audit of that firewall, then yes, that is a checkbox for you. Then evidence needs to be collected that we have done a configuration audit of this firewall and we can use this firewall. We are using 25 controls out of 30 controls, right? So this is basically your risk by compliance. Risk by privacy is how are we taking data? How are we managing data? How are we getting disposed of that data? And how efficient the systems are. So let's say your turnaround time for disposal of data that was over 3 months or 90 days was 98 percentage. So this becomes your matrix that you report to the board of directors that we have reduced the risk and bring it down to 2 percentage because 95% of the things have been completed, right? So how do you cross measure for risk by compliance at privacy level? Out of 100 controls, we have implemented 80 controls. So we have still 20% of risk at a firewall level. This is what you need to communicate to the top management. And risk by technology is everything that is security product or IT products. It can be your web application, it can be your mobile application, it can be your network, it can be your threat detection and response mechanism. It can be anything, right? So I will give you one example of how we do things over here, right? So this is specifically on how do we measure or how do we quantify cyber risk of application at an application layer. So this might not be that much visible, so let me do one more thing, right? Let me just open up this image on a side by side basis and show you a little more. So, how do we measure technical risk? This is for technical founders. Uh, how are you protecting your applications? Where and what type of controls do you have in place? So, we get to know our resilience strength. So, let's say there is an application, we have done operating system hardening. If some file system is not required, let's remove it, right? If so, this is called hardening for all the non-technical people. Then we have antivirus over there. Then we have a DLP over there, data loss prevention or data leak prevention, whatever that is, right? We have Active Directory over there. So our operating system is controlled. Now, how are we securing our source code? How are we securing the public facing application? How are we storing data? What is happening at a database level, right? Do we protect it with firewall? Do we protect it with web application firewall, right? So these are controls you will get to know resilience of attack, right? So basically, this is technical risk. This is non-technical risk. What is the cost of recovery? What is the so salary of employees who are sitting ideally during the downtime? This is how you calculate business risk. The one that I told you that we need to measure what is the number of sensitive records that we have. In a database, you can just do number of columns versus rows. Then you will know that your records, number of records, you have this much. So this is our technical risk. This is our technical risk. It can both come combined together and show it like what is your flow risk, what is your most likely risk, and what is your prominent risk. I hope this is just one example of how we do at an application layer. Now, across the programs, across all of these programs, you can have some metrics which can help you a strategic KPI and an operational KPI, which will help you talk this language with a technical person as well as a non-technical person. Right. So that is all from my end. Thank you for being a lovely audience. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. The floor is open to you guys.
Thank you, Nirav, for wonderful insights and sharing. You can say this is something that people can't even believe where to start. And you laid
Mm.
down the whole process, how security leaders can navigate this talk, because this talk has to happen. People sometimes just shy away or say sometimes they may think that I cannot explain in a proper way to the board, but this is a very very essential part of their daily process. You have to find a I was saying that
Yes.
you laid out a very great process, how security leaders navigate these challenges, because they are very technical, they are very thorough in their process. But when it comes to translating what they know, the technical risk into the business risk, and most important part, how to get budget for that, how to show the progress, step by step. This is how we achieve the business resilience. That's very key here, and you laid down very great process, very thoughtful way to engage the board. And for that, I think our audience would have find it equally insightful. And anywhere where you see that there's a challenge for the business would always like to have their leaders. The board always want them that leaders speak up. So there is always an opportunity. Board is always looking forward to you bring any challenge beforehand, so that when something happens, some breach happens, some incident happens, it should not be after the fact. No, no, if we had spent money on this, if we had done this, then we could have handled this. They want to know that step,
Yeah.
those things before the breach happens, before the problem happens, not after that. So
Yeah.
it's very essential for what you highlighted in your whole presentation, that this is something that you have to consider. And I also like near the end of the presentation, the metrics, the formulas, those quantification of the business and technical risks that you laid down. It was amazing.
Sorry, I'm just addressing a query that was in the chat. Joshua, yes, there it is very difficult sometimes to prioritize which risk to fix first, but it is always achievable. Anything can be measured if we have the will to do it, right? So the most challenging one that I found was network risk, because how do you translate a hardware into a risk uh, proven metrics? We can always connect and talk about it more, but found out your comment to be standing out, so I replied to that one. Thank you, Joshua, for uh, laying it down.
If anyone else who have questions or comments, please feel free to ask. We can also relay your comments. You can reach out to Nirav or Rainbow Secure, and they will be happy to help you in your process.
Rainbow Security is like our ecosystem partner, so that is how we develop capabilities around defending new threats.
Yep, very true. Yeah, security collaboration, and I think the collaborating to secure the business is very much essential in these days, because
Yes.
each company or each partner brings their own skills and expertise, and when you bind it together, you need the right binding, you need the right process to do that. And I think Nirav's team is doing a great job in handling that part.
Okay. So I will Please, Dhawal take the stage. I don't think there are more questions. I might have done a terrible job, or
No,
I
no,
might
you
have
are
explained it
wonderful.
in the right
No,
manner.
you are fantastic.
You are
No, I was
fantastic.
expecting
And
question.
I
Please,
see some
if
of the comment, they like it, your presentation.
yes,
So very
Yeah.
good. And thank
okay.
you to give this knowledge and being part of Rainbow Secure. We always appreciate to work with you as well as getting all the learning part. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So I have a question for you. Would you like to speak something about third bar?
So what we were doing, where we started out to what we are today, right? We started 5 years ago, where we were selling VAPT services. From VAPT services, we understood that business leaders don't understand VAPT. It is way too technical for them. It is they know how to play around numbers. They know how to build a strategy, but a risk at an application level, that is just one part of their 250 applications, is just not making sense to them. We are not able to deliver that value. From VAPT to SOC to implementing entire cybersecurity programs. Now we also do, we help our customers with IM. We also help our customers with phishing stimulation. We help our customers with a lot of things. Now we are, then there was this question which was bothering us for a while, because a lot of our customer has Deloitte, EY as their consultants, and how do we compete against them? So we needed to bring business value, business objective. How are we aligning their business requirements with their cybersecurity requirements? So we have to come up with this thing, and that's where we started learning how to measure each and everything. Uh, and that's how we started with measuring things, and it became our motto that we are focused on measuring cybersecurity risk and preventing data breaches or any kind of incidents happening to an organization.
Yeah,
Thank
that's great. So would you like to share some incidents from the past, which, like as you spoke about in your profile, also it's mentioned like you would like to take action in terms of like some incident happening. So can you recall any incidents?
Yep, there are a lot of incidents that happen. So one of our customers thought they are compromised because their network was slow. The only problem was the firewall policies were one was above, not going into too much technicality, right? One rule that says do not flood, right, was above all, and that's why the network traffic was getting into a loop or was blocked by firewall. Similarly, one of our so that was the only problem. By doing a simple configuration audit, we were able to solve that. There was no security breach. There was no network level vulnerabilities that could be exploited, things like that. Means there were, but few of them which were low risk, right? Nothing can be 100% secure. Um, then there was this incident. One of our customers' data was leaked on a deep dark web. Now they are operating around 40 countries, right? Means they have their operations, manufacturing operations over there, and they're selling to around 120 countries their products. So this customer, a data breach happened, and they started looking for a deep dark web monitoring tool where they actually needed an IM solution, because the problem was the entire organization was not compromised. Individual's laptop was compromised, and that also not their team members. That was their third-party providers. So it was a supply chain because of some supplier having a vulnerable system. The password was leaked. So they started panicking and started looking for a deep dark web monitoring tool, where we suggested them that we need to improve our third party risk management process instead of going into this chaotic drive of buying a product. And
Great.
then we later on implemented, we are still running pilot programs on their environment for IAM, and soon they will be protected by IAM. So the elimination, including the customer, will be looped into the IAM. So the third party risk that was there will be eliminated from there.
Great. So, with your vast experience, what is the mindset shift you are observing in the organization leadership, like from previous to today, sir?
So now they're understanding this, that every time we don't need to panic. We need to have logical solutions. At least this is the learnings from me and from my customers, right? So that how are we protecting them? What are the solutions or metrics if they had, then they will be able to take a better decision. So now they are focusing too much on risk, sorry, root cause analysis, and quarterly we submit a cybersecurity boardroom report to them, which gives them in perspective, us in perspective, and all of our partners in perspective of what is going on in the environment and where is something where we can innovate or integrate something new to help our customers.
Thank you for your experience and thank you for your answers. They were like really amazing to listen to your talk today.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I don't have any more questions, but I would say that yes, it was a wonderful talk, wonderful Q&A session we had. Niravji highlighted most important aspects. You can say that elephant in the room. He unmasked it. Yes, that's a very need of the hour. Yep.
Thank you.
It was our honor to have you with us today, and it was a delight to listen to you today. Your amazing experience, your like measuring the way you have spoken about how like cybersecurity and the fracture board today. We are so thankful for you for taking out time today on a special occasion and delivering a lecture. Yeah.
Last thing. So when I said I'm almost a speaker, everyone now agrees that I'm almost a speaker, not a speaker. Please raise your hands so we can see that. Now I can actually see the screen as well.
You are an amazing speaker, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. This was just a fun anecdote to end the session.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all the audiences, for joining us today for an wonderful session, a remarkable session with Nirav, sir. And thank you, Dhaval, sir. Thank you, Nehalji. And I'm happy to also announce that Rainbow Secure is coming up with the Rainbow Secure Office series, and the details will be shared shortly from our end. And we'll be very happy to host you all and speak about another exciting topics of cybersecurity and cyber news happening today in the market. Thank you, Dhaval sir. Thank you, Nehalji, for an amazing session of Cybersecurity Symposium. Thank you.